Welcome viewers to another episode of Business Continuity Amidst Corona Lockdown. And today we have one of the founders of Noida-based DineOut with us, Mr. Vivek Kapoor. So from a table reservation platform back in 2011 to now the largest restaurant, payment platform. How has the journey been, Vivek? And welcome to the show.
The journey has absolutely been exhilarating. We've seen lots of highs till we hit this kind of roadblock. This is, you can say that one of the first major situation that as a business we'll be seeing in our lifetime. And things will never be the same after this. Obviously, we'll all see some changes or the other in the industry as well. But till now, it's been absolutely fantastic. We've been shipping products. We are sort of building products on the tech side, even for the diners, for the restaurants. We started off as a table reservation service back in 2012. We graduated on to becoming the largest technology company for our partner restaurants in India. So we're actually now practically the entire suite, right from booking a table, getting deals for the diners, getting them premium subscriptions with Gourmet Passport. And for the restaurants, we're like the one-stop solution for their entire tech requirements, be it a POS, be it a reservation management system, be it a campaign, be it a loyalty. We do everything for all kinds of restaurants.
You have been an inspiration to many young entrepreneurs. And as you rightly said, for you and for many of us, this is the first major crisis. I don't know how many of them were there during 2008, but this crisis is much bigger than 2008, where pretty much the whole global population on a lockdown. What are you doing at this point in time to mitigate the challenge that's there?
See, obviously, it has impacted everyone. There's no one in this world today who's not been impacted by whatever has happened. But I'm of a believer that this shall too pass. Things will get back to normal one day, and we as a company, we always have to be hopeful. We have to be prepared when things go back to what they were. How we can help support our partners. We don't call our restaurants as clients; we call them as partners for a reason, and that reason is that we want to cushion this impact for them as maximum as possible. And this is the reason that we came up with a product called vouchers, which was pre-bought vouchers, where restaurants can get some handy cash flow during these times. And once we sort of went live with them, obviously the industry followed suit. With vouchers also, the idea was not more from a diner side, but it was more from a restaurant side, because we know that any restaurant works on a working capital of maybe 15 to 20 days. And we will see a lot of our favorites going down, will not be able to sort of remain afloat. And in these trying times, whatever help that can happen, whatever help that we can do, we're trying to do. And this is on the voucher front, but on the other side, we're also trying to work with the restaurant body. And we filed a petition on change.org, which has got almost about 30,000 signatures till now. We want to reach out to the finance minister, telling them about the plight of the F&B industry today and how they need our support. It is almost an employer of around 7.3 million people. And that's a huge workforce, right? And that's a huge amount of business by any standard. And we need to take care of this industry because this industry will be one of the most important ones which will get everything back to where it was, because and it's not just financially, it's also about the mood, it's also about the morale. When things go back to normal, people would want to celebrate, people would want to go back, relive those memories which they've had at their favorite restaurants. You have to look at it from an emotional angle as well. These restaurants are not just places, these restaurants are not just outlets. These are the places where we created memories. We celebrated most of our important times. We celebrated breakups, first job, first salary. There's an emotional connect to these places, and we should cherish these moments. We should try to ensure that these places survive and weather this storm. This has been our endeavor. This petition, vouchers, etc. These are one part of the problem that we're trying to solve. On the other side, what we're trying to do is we're trying to build products which will be very, very strategically important when things go back to normal. We're trying to study the markets, the F&B markets from China, from South Korea, where things have gotten back to normal. The post-COVID era, how the restaurant industry is reacting. There are certain government norms which we are sort of trying to predict or assume that are going to be in place. So maybe social distancing. Restaurants would need a proper table layout plan when they open up back. People don't want to sit very close to each other. How will the restaurant optimize its space? How will they optimize its table layout? So we're trying to sort of work on those products with our technology, and that's how our team is sort of putting their energies and effort to.
You talked about the petition that you submitted to the government. What are your asks in the petition? What are you asking for?
We're trying to ask basically some form of financial respite from rentals, electricity bills, water bills. The F&B industry needs support even to pay the salaries. Yesterday I read a video blog of one of the owners from Bangalore. He owns around maybe I think 6-7 outlets, and he employs more than 300 people. His biggest concern was not rental, not electricity, but how will he pay salaries? And people need to be fed. People need to take something back to their families as well. So I think salary is the primary focus of that petition. We've addressed it to the finance minister. A lot of restaurant owners have come forward in sort of boosting that petition as well. We've been trying to do it, and I'm sure our voices will be heard.
At this point in time, there are a lot of startups who are in different stages. Some of them are cash positive, and many of them are probably living month on month. What is your message to them?
See, this is where core team becomes really, really important. How they shoulder your responsibility, how they help you weather the storm. We have to be innovative. We have to be thinking of the post-COVID era. Think about what we should build and how our services need to be changed, or how our products need to change in accordance to what the world is going to be when things go back to normal. And that's the only thing that I'm telling everyone who I speak to, that we've been given a lot of time. I think we can really utilize it well. And startups who survive this point, I think will be the winners.
Vivek, as an organization, I'm sure you're also bearing the brunt of the situation. How are you communicating with your employees at this point in time? How are you keeping them engaged and keeping their morale high?
Like I'm communicating with you, that's the way it is. That's the way we have stand-ups. We have every day I'm connecting with all my teammates. Luckily, we are 4 co-founders, so we know we can divide our time and energy in talking to various teams. We keep on having huddles almost every second day. In fact, we did like an online April Fool prank as well on our team yesterday. So we're just trying to sort of make most of whatever we can, and to keep everyone in the right spirit, because I think we will not be facing any Monday blues when we go live on the 15th of April.
Very true. I'm very sure there'll be no Monday blues. Plus, places like the restaurants, as you rightly said, they are places of memories, and a lot of people are going to reach out to their favorite restaurant, have their favorite food. And you also made a point about how you're thinking of social distancing within the restaurants. Would it be possible to do it? We know typically our restaurants are jam-packed and there's hardly any space.
I think it's not about the possibility, it's about necessity, right? Things will not just, the cases of COVID will not become zero on day one, on the 15th of April, right? We would see that curve declining. And during this transition period, we will see a lot of norms in terms of disinfecting the restaurants, cleanliness inside the restaurants, how it would be very important for the owners to ensure that they inculcate trust in their diners, that everything here is clean nicely, sanitized nicely, their kitchens are well equipped with the right kind of protective gear. how they're handling crowds, and everything. So all of this would be done only through technology products, tech products. And I think we're always ahead of the curve in terms of innovation with technology when it comes to technology. And we're trying to sort of help restaurants manage those wait lists, manage those crowds. I think one of the biggest thing would be digital menus, right? I don't think so people would want paper menus anymore. And we've been harping about digital menus for almost about a year back, 2 years back, since the time we had Investor. We have that technology ready. Now people will be more adaptive to it, and digital menu, digital payments, DineOut Pay, right? DineOut Pay came about in 2016. Now I don't think so restaurants would want to have cash transactions, because they would not. They want to go touchless, right? They would want to go like that, and this is the best way to go touchless, where you can place your orders through the phone, where you can make your payments digitally. I think that's one battle won, right? So one worry less as well. So yeah, these are the things that we are going to do for our partners.
We've been hearing about and seeing it through various video shares on the social media, where some of the restaurants, be it in Bangalore and other places, adopted things like robotic and also automation in serving of food. So do you think that also will kind of catch up now?
I think it will. Not just serving food, but even making food. You will see machines preparing food as well. There are a lot of startups, there are a lot of companies who are already doing this piece where you define recipes, where you define raw material, and they are the ones who sort of actually make it. I know it sounds a little robotic. You would need that human intervention or engagement as well, but that is how a symphony is going to be is going to come, and this is how a balance is. We'll have to strike a balance somehow, right? And yeah, I think there is scope of for these companies to sort of thrive and innovate.
Okay, to assume that DineOut will kind of support machine becoming integral part of restaurant business, and also startups who are out there who are kind of working on similar solutions can reach out to you?
It's not about DineOut supporting it. It's about what the industry wants. We would do whatever the industry expects us to do. If we are moving towards that model, then yes, we will do it. If we are to, as I said, that we are already moving towards a model where we place orders digitally, where paper menus will be redundant. We have that tech ready as we speak. If this is the next phase, if this is the version 2.0 of dining out or dining in, yeah, so be it. I think we're more than happy to integrate. We're more than happy to talk. We're more than happy to explore ideas if there are, and see how it pans out.
Coming to the vouchers you talked about, where it's a great initiative for the restaurant owners. Did you also think about how the diners would react to it, especially when there is all this talk about many of the businesses going belly up? So in that case, how would you give assurance to the diners that if they were to go ahead and buy these vouchers to support the restaurants today, their contribution would be protected?
So obviously, there is a certain amount of background check we do before we get anyone on those on that listing, but we don't want to be too stringent about that as well. What we are going to be doing is that if a restaurant sort of goes under, then we'll ensure that the amount that has been paid by the diner, either we refund it back, or we ensure that he can redeem it in any other restaurant which is there on that voucher list. So we do have those caveats in place, and we do have those checks and balances in place as well.
Vivek, thank you very much for taking your time and speaking to My Startup TV. For me, the biggest takeaway is the automation and the machines that would probably become part of the future, and the hygiene itself within the F&B business. Thank you, Vivek.